When family stories aren't written down, they tend to drift away. Without a record, these legacies disappear like trade winds moving across the Hawaiian Islands. In the late 1890s, two people arrived in Kona with very different burdens. Emily was a native Hawaiian Hanai child, navigating a sense of abandonment from her biological family. Saburo was a teenager fleeing Hiroshima, left orphaned after cholera claimed both of his parents. Saburo was part of a massive influx of immigrant laborers. These men arrived at the Honolulu and Kailua wharves with nothing but small bundles and the hope of finding work in the sugar or coffee fields. Neither Saburo nor Emily had wealth or social status to rely on. Their partnership was built on his physical labor and a single piece of paper Emily carried from her past. That paper was the deed to an inheritance, a 2-acre plot on the slopes of Hualalai Mountain. It was a raw stretch of volcanic rock, situated high above the bay and covered in dense, dry brush. When her biological father gave her the land, he attached a single, strict condition. He told her, "Never sell what cannot be replaced." For two people with no other ties to the world, this rocky hillside was a chance to establish a permanent home. They chose to anchor themselves to this specific plot of earth to ensure their family wouldn't simply fade into history. After they married in 1905, the work began in earnest. Emily and Saburo spent years clearing the brush by hand and hauling heavy stones to level the foundation for a small 2-story wooden house. Their home became a site of cultural synthesis. On the lanai, Emily used a stone pounder to turn breadfruit into poi, while Saburo applied the carpentry skills he learned in Hiroshima to build a traditional Japanese bathhouse. Saburo forced a livelihood out of the volcanic rock by planting hundreds of coffee saplings. He dug each hole into the hardened lava and nurtured the plants for 7 years until the first cherries were ready to harvest. The property now featured hand-built stone walls bordering organized rows of coffee trees. The land had physically changed, becoming a record of their resilience and the specific ways they combined their traditions to survive. However, the ground beneath the farm held a geological secret. Hidden just inches below the surface was a hollow lava tube. During the 1918 harvest, Saburo set his ladder on seemingly solid ground. Decades of pressure finally caused a microscopic tectonic slip. The thin rock crust fractured, dropping the ladder into the depression. Saburo fell hard against the jagged lava rock. The internal injuries were severe. The impact damaged his lungs so badly that he eventually succumbed to the fluid buildup, dying in the bedroom he had built with his own hands. He was buried in the local Japanese cemetery. His tombstone was etched with Japanese characters and the words, "Mother, Father," marking his final resting place. Emily attempted to run the coffee farm alone, but her health began to fail. Severe diabetes and gout, passed down through her lineage, turned the daily labor of the harvest into a physical ordeal. She didn't realize that her diet was working against her. She relied on local opelu fish for protein, but the silver mackerel worsened the uric acid crystals in her joints, making it almost impossible to walk the rows. To save her children from starvation, Emily had to break the family apart. She decided to send her sons away to Honolulu, where relatives could provide the food and schooling she could no longer manage. The boys left the Big Island from the Kailua Wharf, boarding an inter-island steamer bound for Honolulu. This maritime network became the physical barrier. With the boys gone and Emily's health failing, the farm began to collapse. Weeds choked the coffee trees, and the wooden house started to sag as the mountain rains hammered the roof. The land they had worked so hard to cultivate was now erasing their progress. The very ground that had sustained the family was now reclaiming the house and the fields Saburo and Emily had built. As World War II came to an end, Emily sent a final, desperate letter to her daughter, Yuki, in Honolulu. She explained that she was failing and that the family farm was in ruins. Yuki and her husband, Felix, faced a difficult choice. They had stable lives and modern jobs in Honolulu, but they decided to abandon that security to return to the dirt of Holualoa. They found the property in total decay. The land had reclaimed the architecture, leaving the house weathered and sagging amidst the overgrown fields. Felix began a total physical restoration. He rebuilt the porch, repainted the house a vibrant green, and spent long days rescuing the coffee trees from the waist-high weeds. Yuki focused on her mother's health, providing the steady care and meals that stabilized Emily's diabetes. As the family moved back into the house, the surrounding fields began to produce fruit again. Watching the trees recover and the fruit ripen, Emily saw the revitalization of the land as a literal renewal. She called this moment Kealana Hoa, the awakening of the earth. In her final legal act, Emily signed the deed over to Yuki. She fulfilled her own father's decree to keep the land in the family, ensuring it would never be sold. For this family, the land is more than real estate. In the Hawaiian tradition of Aina, this soil serves as a permanent record of their history, a living legacy written in the ancient stone walls and lush coffee rows that still stand on the Kona slopes.